Hi there. If you're new to the channel, my name is Dan Oladipo. On here, I just share lessons, that I feel or I know would be more useful to my younger self. And definitely, if it's useful to my younger self, it's useful to other young people as well. Um, if you're new here, please subscribe to the channel, share this video, particularly with young people, because I this video is targeted at teens, but it's also targeted at anyone because the lessons here are going to be useful to anyone that is on their journey of becoming. Today we're going to be talking about maximizing your teens, and I think it's a very important topic because your teens set the tone for whoever you're going to become in the near future. It sets a very big foundation for the kind of people you meet, the kind of opportunities you get access to, the kind of you know knowledge you perceive and other things like that. So I just saw it as a topic that I feel if a younger version of me was watching this now, it would have helped him a lot more because I had to do a lot of experimenting on my own. I thank God for good mentors, good teachers and leaders, and also my parents as well. But a lot of the things I had to actively learn through books, and I think that this video would set the tone for anyone that needs to understand this. So I'm going to be sharing five main things that I believe are important for you to know in order to maximize your teens. And the first thing is knowing your purpose, knowing the reason you were created. I think if I knew a bit of myself much better earlier, a lot of things I would have done much differently. A lot of things I wouldn't have even bothered dabbling into because your purpose is like a compass. It sets the tone for everything you do in your life, the kind of people you hang around with, the kind of people you talk to, the things you say, the opportunities you're looking for. A lot of things I shouldn't have even bothered checking out if I understood, where I was going or where I perceived I was going much earlier. So how do we go about this route of, knowing your purpose? I'm a believer and, our own route is, through God, the creator. It's just like you have, a product and there's no manual, like, and it's a very complex product. As human beings, we're very complex. You can't box us into just one thing. And how do you go about, knowing the how to use this product without the manual? That's the same way I believe it goes for every person, because purpose is not just for young people, but for every person, you have to just get the manual, and that's with God, and it's in our own case. So you have to know, why were you created? For what purpose? How do you play in a much bigger agenda? Then also you have to also know your skills and interests, because purpose is encompassed with a lot of things, and I think one of that is your skills and interests. What interests you? What inspires you? What problems did you face maybe growing up that would set a much bigger tone for where you're going in the future? What experiences did you have maybe in secondary school, in primary school? How have they made you who you are now? I think pinpointing those things also helps you understand what what you are going for or what you should aim for in the future. You need to also understand that purpose doesn't come fully formed. I think this is one thing I should have learned very, very early, that it's okay to not know everything at the beginning. It's a gradual process. It's not something that would jump upon you like a book. It's something that takes a long time of actually understanding, waiting, experiencing. you know I believe, at least from what I know, many times as people grow more and more, things change, new interests come, new hunger comes, and things like that. So purpose doesn't come fully formed. Younger to me should listen to this. Purpose doesn't come fully formed. It comes from deliberate actions and processes. Inaction is death. That's one thing I would also like to have told myself better, that not doing anything at all is death in itself. And it's important to that you won't know unless you actually make persistent, consistent efforts to see your kind of person and things like that. A lot of the things I do now, I believe, are a sum total of the things I did much earlier in life, the things I volunteered for, the things I served for. But that's it on on knowing your purpose. So the next thing is, discovering and developing your skills. And the reason why I use both discover and develop is that I know we're in a world where everyone says, "Oh, learn this skill, learn this, take this course," and things like that. But it's important to also discover your inbuilt skills already, and that's because I believe that we have, like, basically, if you know a device and they say something is inbuilt, it means it came with it and it can't just be removed. I think that's the same thing that goes for us humans. That in our design, there are certain skills. Maybe you may not take them as skills at the beginning. Maybe you talk a lot. Maybe you are fascinated by color. These things, whether you believe it or not, are skills that would complement, the skills you now develop later on. If there are certain things, there are certain skills I don't even bother learning because they are just not in my design. And I think it's important to also know that as well. So discover and develop your skills. What do you find exciting? What excites you? What's one thing that you go on your YouTube, you go on your Instagram and you check for, and it's always constantly on your feed? That may be a hint to your skills as well. What do you do effortlessly? Do you talk a lot? I have a friend that back when we were early on in school, if there was one thing we knew him for, he was very funny, very, very funny, like very funny guy. And the kind of work he does today, basically, is into hosting events and things like that. So much compliment the kind of person we always saw him as. And I think that's the same thing that goes for you people. You should, find out the things that interest you and excite you and then convert them into, skills that you develop. Now when it comes to developing skills now, skills are in two ways. There are either digital skills and then there are actual soft skills. When I mean soft skills, I mean skills that are required in maybe your workplace, in your career, things like emotional intelligence, things like people management, things like delegation. These are soft skills. I know we're in a world where we say, "Oh, learn video editing, learn graphic design, learn motion design," but soft skills are also very, very important, going forward. So that's another thing I would say. Then on the third thing, I'd say soak up knowledge like a sponge to Miche. If there's anything you should do, soak up knowledge like a sponge. Because as you grow older, and you have the time and determination you have sort of diminishes. I'm not so old, but I've seen how my time has reduced. There was a time when I, after classes in the university, it was so easy to pick up a book now then because you're not reading so much. The knowledge you have to acquire, from classes and all is not so bulky. But I'm in a stage now where any free time you get, it's either to sleep so you can read again, like for books in school, or read a book, like a personal book, or spend quiet time. Your time becomes more limited, and I know it's even going to be definitely much more limited when you're not in the outside world, in the workplace, career, and things like that. So soak up knowledge at this point as early as possible because they're going to help you in the long run. So read books on purpose. For me, I read books on purpose. I read books on business. I read because I have a very strong interest in business. I read books on focus. I read books on um basically along those lines. Productivity too really helped. Productivity really, really helped in my journey as well. So these books have given me skills, like I said again, soft skills that are useful to me even to today. And I think that it's important that we adopt these habits as well going forward. So then I think I've mentioned three things now. Then the fourth thing is connecting with the right people. So when you've known your purpose, when you've developed your and discovered your skills, when you soak up knowledge, you begin to see the kind of people that you want to hang around with, that have similar interests, that have similar goals, similar desires, and you connect with them. I'm a very strong believer in the fact that of this saying that you're the sum total of the five people you hang around with, or something like that. It's not just a saying; it's a law. It's a principle that I wish I even knew much more earlier. But I believe that, friends are for seasons. The friends that, I didn't actually gain much from also had an impact on the kind of person I am today, both positively and negatively. So be very, very selective with the kind of people you want to hang around with. That's one thing I'll tell you that, it may seem like you're a bad person. Someone recently told me that, he feels like people judge him because they think he's proud because he's selective. But when you know where you're going, you just know that some people just can't remain. It's not toxicity. It's just being intentional. It's just knowing what you need to do and what is required at certain seasons. And just like seasons, friends come and go as well. There are people that you connect with right now that may not even be with you in the next, 3, 5 years, not because they were bad or anything, but like seasons, they come and they go. But it's important to connect with the right people because there are people that I just have conversations with and I'm just delighted again. Like things that seemed impossible start to feel possible again. And it's because of the right kind of people, the right circle. And then lastly, number five, I think is very, very important is choose your models. Choose your models. I didn't want to use the word mentors because I believe that's another topic on its own, which I'm going to touch. But choose your models. You've discovered your purpose, or you're discovering your purpose. You've developed and discovered skills. You've soaked up knowledge, or to an extent, you've known some things, and then you've connected with the right people, and that helps you to see the kind of people you actually want to become like. Don't ever think you are unique in the sense that definitely we're all different, we're all unique. But don't ever think that whatever you're doing, someone isn't already doing right now, at least to an extent. Definitely, I believe we all have our unique designs and unique tastes that we should stick to. But there are certain people, templates. That's the thing about templates now. If I give you a template now, you may use it in a certain way, but it still follows the same structure. And that's the same way with models and mentors. They are templates for the kind of person you want to become. So choose your models. Go online, go on Instagram, go on YouTube. For me, it was going on YouTube. See the kind of people that, speak the way you want to speak. They, act the way you want to act. They treat the things you want to treat. And then, and I was use the word copy, but in a way it's still copying, but do everything they do. If it's the books they read, immediately they post it online. Get a hand on it, read it, scroll through. Just anything you can use to connect with them. And when it now comes to connecting, this is the hard but the interesting part, and that's mentorship. For me, I had an experience. Am I ready to share? No, but I back in my second year university, I had this very interesting opportunity where I walked up to this, not walked up actually, I just spoke up to this woman and I said, "Oh, I want you to be my mentor." It came out clearly. Like she asked in the audience. It was a conference actually, and she asked in the audience, "Okay, I does anyone have any other questions?" And all that was on my mind is that I listened to her. I loved the way she speak. I loved what her company was doing, or spoke rather, and I just said, "Oh, okay, I have a question. Can you be my mentor?" I said, "Oh, okay, if you answer this question," I got the question right, and then she offered me a business card. But along the line, I wasn't getting the responses I wanted from her. And it's not like a case where I wasn't persistent enough, but the truth of the matter is that any great person you want to be your mentor doesn't have necessarily have the time to hold your hand like a kid. Definitely there are exceptions. I've had mentors that they've been through and through with me, and there it depends on also your proximity with them. If you are much closer to them, maybe in school, you attend the same school, maybe you are working the same place, maybe there's much more proximity. But when they are dealing with longer distance, you know, mentors, it's important to know that a lot of the times they won't necessarily have the time. So it's your responsibility to now know what are you offering them. When you have something to offer the people you say you want them to mentor you, they are but obligated to help you out. If they know that a area of their company or an area of their service you are contributing to, maybe as for me, one of the ways was, I had a skill which was design, graphic design, website design. And so many times a lot of my mentors I offered to help them out with, whatever they were doing in the area of design. And before you knew it, one or two ways they chip it in, maybe in publicity too. I've also had an experience with marketing and publicity, publicizing, conferences and businesses. And in a way or two, they just chip in, one or two tips. Sometimes before you know it, as the rapport builds, they even get on calls with you and they share things that you don't see in books. And that's one thing I also want you to learn about mentors. The importance of mentors is that they have gone through it. They have gone through it. Everyone writes a book. And I'm of the opinion that many times people just write books to make money because there's actually money, writing a bestseller. But when you have one-on-one conversations, especially with people that are deeply invested in you, they tell you things you never see in a book anywhere or even on a YouTube video or YouTube channel. So that's the last thing I would say. choose the right models, choose the people that there is no how, no matter whatever you want to become, there is someone in that light, there's someone that is a template that you can follow. And that's one thing I'll tell to Mishi very early on. Choose your models very early, try and connect with them, position yourself. It's very important to position yourself in light of what they're doing. When you find out what they're doing, do a bit of research, dabble behind them, that way behind what they've been doing, their biography. I there's one thing I'm very crazy about that. In saying that I will study you so that by the time we have a conversation, I've known about you already before we even start talking, and then you're like, oh, this person is deeply invested in me. I think I want to invest in him back. That's one of the secrets about mentors. Um, so yeah, I think just to go through the five again, know your purpose, try and get a glimpse of your purpose by praying, by studying, by seeing your interests and experiences to discover and develop your skills. What skills do you have? What skills are you getting? Thirdly, I think soak up knowledge like a sponge, soak it up, soak it all up. There's nothing you are doing in your young as a young person, and connect with the right people, connect with your circle, find your circle as early as possible, and help each other up. Definitely, not all of you are made. Connect with the right people and try and make sure you're also the least person in the room. There's a saying, that be the least, smartest person in the room. Not that you're not smart, but the people around you are much, much smarter, and they groom you, to become better and smarter as well. Then choose your models, choose the people you want to become like, and are also doing the things you want to do. And I think that, if you keep up with this consistently year after year in your teenage years, you'll see an exponential growth in yourself by the time you're in your 20s, and you'd, be happy with yourself that you did. So this is me just sharing some tips. Once again, my name is Dan Oladipo, and here I just shared lessons that I believe will be much more useful to my younger self and to you guys as well. So do have a great day. Take care.